The Bible gives us a map from right now. You are right here, and this is where you could be someday in the future. By the way, I told you when I teach this, I always go through the plan of salvation. This is when that faculty member at UC Berkeley sat up and he went, "This isn't boring." And he started listening because he said, "Wow, I don't want to go through that tribulation and be, incinerated by the Antichrist. I want to go to heaven." And so these are what I call the 12 steps from now to then. The rapture is the resurrection of the church, the rise of the Antichrist. He makes a treaty with Israel. 144,000 Israelite believers become missionaries. They can't be destroyed. They speak every language of the world. They share the gospel. While they're working, the Antichrist rises to power, breaks his covenant with Israel. Israel begins to seek God. Jerusalem is attacked. Jesus returns to rescue after 2/3 of them are killed. Then comes what Jesus talked about, the sheep and goat judgment. Old Testament tribulation believers are resurrected, the 1,000-year reign of Christ. At the end of it, everybody rebels. You know what the millennium's about? You can have a perfect world. You can have a perfect leader, Jesus Christ. You can have no pollution, no poisonous animals, no crime, and people still don't want God. A perfect society doesn't make perfect people. Only God can make people perfect. So Satan is judged, unbelievers are judged, God creates a new universe, and we go into heaven. Okay, that's interesting. How does that apply to what we're seeing now? How does God see the Gaza war? Have you ever thought about that? Do you ask yourself that? Well, if you look through the Bible, God has already given us a map in the Bible. It's in Daniel chapter 9. The Bible offers a map of the future that's accurate, a guide to understand the past, the present, and the future. And God Almighty rules from heaven all the affairs of man, and he gave Daniel, in Daniel 9, by the way, who's the only prophet Jesus quotes by name when he talks about the future? Daniel. Daniel was his favorite prophet about the future, about the end of the world. And what Daniel says is, this is all there will be in the world till the end. This is it. So what does Daniel say that's illustrated in the book of Revelation? Now, one of the things I teach at Word of Life is Revelation. If you ever go to New York or Florida, year one for every BI student is Revelation. Here's a summary in 1 minute of the whole book of Revelation. Revelation 1 is about us here on earth. 4 and 5, we go to heaven. 19, we see us in heaven. 6 to 18 is the tribulation, the second coming of Christ, the millennium, the great white throne, and heaven. Now let me show you what God says is happening. The next event for us is the rapture. John 14, Luke 24, Acts 1, all talk about us being caught up before the Lord. The Bema seat of Christ is when we are judged for what we lived for him. Then comes the wrath of God in the great tribulation. The second coming of Christ to deliver the nation. Jesus returns for Israel. That's what the second coming is. Jesus rescues Israel. The whole purpose of the second coming is for Jesus to rescue Israel from all that's going on of Satan trying to destroy them. Then Jesus actually rules on earth from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. He builds a visitor center that's 50 square miles. There are 8 chapters of Ezekiel that describe the visitor center. Ezekiel 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, and 48. Actually 9 chapters that describe this visitor center. It's called the Millennial Temple. And all the world for 1,000 years has to visit Jerusalem like we just saw in chapter 26 of Isaiah. During that 1,000 years millennium, they have to come to Jerusalem. If they won't come, it won't rain on their cabbage field. Do you understand that? No crop will grow. During the millennium, everybody's agriculture. They're all like Jeju, these little rock-walled fields everywhere you look. If you won't come to Jerusalem once a year, your crops won't grow. It actually says that in Isaiah. Unbelievable. That's what the millennium is. They rebel, the great white throne judgment. And then we have dwelling in the house of the Lord forever. So there's a 1-minute survey of heaven.